Welcome, my friends. This is Maniacal Incorporated, and you join me as we return to the great houses of Calderia. This is a game that's currently being developed by Resistance Games. It's going to be published by Fire Squid Games, looking at late 2022. I checked out a demo of this previously for the last Steam Next Fest, and a new demo has dropped for Gamescom. So I'm going to check out what has been added. And I was just going to give you a warning, but I can actually see that it's also here on the screen. We appreciate if you send all unfortunate but likely crash reports. So most likely I'm not going to be able to get through the full demo today. It's still in its development phases. My PC, the noise out of my graphics card at the moment, it is spinning at the highest level it can. It might burn my house down. So all that kind of performance tuning, that's going to be done later. At the moment, they're just working on the demo, seeing what works, and we are going to do the same. So here we are, the story so far. Here we have a bit of a new kind of intro that gives you some of the lore of Calderia. It has been a millennia since your ancestors abandoned the old world. The reasons for the exodus have long since been forgotten, as it was forbidden to speak or write of them, nor ever to return. When the new emperor heard of the land, he paid little heed to the warnings of his council and granted a mandate for any descendant of the royal bloodline to claim the land in his name. The first settlers named the land Calderia. And here we're beginning to see some of the new house customization options. So we actually get to name our house. In the last demo, we started actually just over here to the right in Bugina, and you didn't have any options of changing who you played as or who you started as, or of editing in any way, make, shape or form. The devs asked, would people be interested in this? Asked over on the Discord. There's going to be a link to the game below in the to this demo in the description, and to the Fire Squid Discord, where you can give your opinions and give your ideas and suggestions, and they often ask for suggestions as well for making the game better. So they asked, would people be interested in customization? And people said yes. Here's our next option. We kind of get to decide where we start. In the lands of Calderia, we are known for being among the first to arrive near the Emperor's lands in the east, so we get higher population. We can unlock artisans. We can start as a count, which gives us an easy start. I'm going to say that we came late and settled in the mountains of the north, and that's going to give us high iron and material production. So if we click on that, it now gives us an option of where we want to actually start. So we can see basically, here are some of our start areas. I previously tried the artisans start. I'm actually just going to bring that up very quickly. I previously did the artisans one. We were early to arrive, landed in the south near Ermeta, home of the mathemagicians. So down here, this is the home of the mathemagicians. Not the mathematicians, the mathemagicians. I am very interested to see where that is going to go. Let us take a look at the regions very quickly. So we have a couple of different regions we can start from, and they have various different attributes. So -40 to food is not great, or to crops. I'd say we're going to be seeing a lot of stuff like that. I would like to get kind of moderate meat and hides. Okay, this isn't... it's -25 to crops again. So what you can do basically is focus on... The regions now are kind of designed to be good at one specific thing. We're seeing a lot of places that are bad at crops up here, and bad at meat and hides, but very good at metal ore. So what we can do is maybe... This actually doesn't appear to be the worst. It's a -10 to crops and grapes, and we get +10 from materials and +25 from ore, which seems to be the standard across the region. This region is probably the most remote in all of Calderia. It was one of the last places to be inhabited, but mostly due to its remote location. The remoteness makes the population self-dependent and even stubborn. It's actually quite small as well. Do you know what? Yeah, we'll give it a go. Now, as you can see, the next button is actually grayed out at the moment, so we need to just go back, high iron and material, and pick this one again. Mangunda, and we can actually change it if we so wished. So the first options that we saw were regional based. If you're starting in the north, it's high iron production. If you're starting in the south, you're getting artisans. Here then we have an actual unique customization that we can pick regardless of where we start. So we can get better units, pop growth, intrigue level, safety level, higher safety level. So this has to do with intrigue. Safety level has to do with kind of countering intrigue, I believe. This means that you can spend less workers' time to keep safety up. Intrigue hasn't been added to the game yet. War hasn't been added to the game yet. Population happiness, so I think that will help them to... We might go with this. Easier to maintain population happiness because we are lacking a couple of resources. So we'll go for that one. Here is the beginnings of House Maniacal. So the first 2 members of the family to arrive. And what we can do, I haven't done this yet, we can re-roll, should we so wish. And we'll go with this. So these are the first 2 members of the family to arrive in the region. We're not going to be playing as them, but from what I can gather, possibly, these stats are going to be passed down to the generation that we will be playing as. So we can continue, and now we get to choose the head of our family. We're seeing lots of CK3 influences here to a degree, but it's a bit broader and wider and giving you a lot more customization options, I feel, than CK3. This has the potential to be the family dynasty builder that we have all dreamt of. Decades later, both Carme Barsum and Giro Barsum, I thought I changed the names, but apparently not. I thought we were going to be House Maniacal, but we're now going to be House Barsum. Both of them have passed away, but they left behind a prosperous fiefdom, large family, and the beginnings of a legacy. It came time to choose who among their children would become the new head of family. And each member has 4 stats, and we're seeing the kind of the CK3-esque locking into place of nesting windows. There's another one. So we have diplomacy, economy, intrigue, and military. We're going to want good diplomacy and economy. So here, basically, I think is the very best choice that we can take. Military, like I said, hasn't been added yet. War, or I should say intrigue, hasn't been really added yet either. So neither of the 2 of these are all that important. So we're going to go with this character. And then for our background, give me a second. Main color, green. Icon color, orange. Secondary color, white. Background. There you go. That's about as close as we can get to a tricolor, with the puck goat in the middle. So the demo has been expanded from what we saw previously. It's now up to 2 years in length, and when in the previous demo it was just the 1 year, you had to try and get the population to increase by 1. From what I know, very few people succeeded in doing that. I most certainly didn't. Somebody on the Fire Squid Discord was able to do it regularly, at least twice. But you had to devote everything. You had to devote all of your resources to trying to get that 1 population growth to occur. The game has changed a bit. Population growth isn't as onerous anymore. And we're going to see some buildings. We're going to see some buildings being built. So we're just getting a bit of info on the starting area. This is your home, Bugina. So I think they actually maybe forgot to change that from the demo. It's defaulting to Bugina. And it's just, again, politics by means. Here they're telling us of our overlords. So we still have an overlord, which is random every time you start. In the demo, you started as Bugina and you had the same overlord. These guys defeated us recently in battle. In 6 months' time, they're going to come and demand that we give them extra money. Possibly the game will crash by then. But we're going to try and get our reputation up with them so that they don't demand as much from us. And we're going to try and fight them in a social conflict, which I think is one of the most exciting aspects of this game. The abstraction of warfare and the abstraction of negotiations into this kind of, you wouldn't really even call it a mini-game. Hopefully we'll get to see one of them today, because it's really interesting. It's really interesting, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I think this is our opinion of Verona, and Verona's opinion of us. This then would be, I think that's intrigue level and safety level, if I am correct. And we will begin. So here we are. We will scroll out ever so slightly. And here, again, the map is absolutely fantastic. The map is absolutely beautiful. And we've all these regions that we can play as and conquer and interact with and do various different things. So here we are. Here's our starting location. You can see we need another 1,000 growth to get to 7 population. And we're getting 6 per day. So that's going to be our 2 main options, are going to be trying to get that number up, the pop growth, and trying to sort out some of our issues across the top. Here's just a brief description of what's going on. If you've checked out the last demo, you'll know what all that is. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes to assign members of the family to these various different positions. We have the Borg, farmers, our vineyard, which we don't actually have access to at the moment, builders, which we don't have access to, miners. We have nobody working there as a miner, but we do have access to it. Oh, we have access to the vineyards as well, I think. We do, yes. So we have crafters, miners, and vineyards. We're going to have to sort out the vineyard. And if you haven't seen on the previous demo, what I'm basically going to do, if you see here, this person is going to increase the amount of gold that we produce from 1 gold to 1.7. So I'm going to assign most of our family members to jobs. I'm going to move around the population a bit. Try and get these numbers balanced. And try and get the best people into the jobs. We're going to leave one person, most likely the head of the family, free so that they can go and carry out some diplomatic negotiations. And then I'm going to try and... here is our buildings menus. So this is where we'll go to build some buildings. But what we're also going to try and do is increase compensation, so that increases population growth. But we don't need to compensate them by as much anymore to get them to grow. So that was what our happiness did. Right, that's going to take me a couple of minutes, so I'm going to do that, and then we will return and see what changes I've made. Well, that didn't take as long as I expected it to, because we actually have very few options that we can take at the moment. We have a very low population, 6. So that's one of the lower populations that I've actually started with. And here we can see they are represented. There's 4 of them, there's 5, and there's 6. So what we're looking to do is we're looking to increase that by 1 so that we can place another pop somewhere. And you can see that there's a limit, so we can only ever have 3 builders. And if we come to building, we can build housing level 1, which will then increase that max to 5. We can have an infinite amount of farmers. And then we can distribute people to the other positions. We do not have vineyards or mines or crafters open at the moment because we don't have the buildings. So what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to try and trade crops for both grapes to supply our workers in the Borg. So they are requiring compensation in grapes. The next level would be wine, which we're not producing, and the next level then would be horses, which we're not producing. We have a starting supply of wine, all right. The farmers are happy out on grain. That's the handy thing. And the only one that we've been able to increase is the builders. So the builders require, at the top level, they require gold. So that is putting us into 0 gold production, which is a bit of a problem. We could increase this to brisk, because we need 200 materials to build drift mines, or to build table grapevines. And that would open up either of the 2 of those then, and we could begin exporting the resources. Possibly we might go for a vineyard to try to reduce the amount that we're importing. Okay, so that's that. This gets very complex after a while, trying to keep that that balance going, and I think that's one of the most exciting parts of this game as well. There's a lot of parts of this game that are exciting. We're out onto the big map, and what we're going to do, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at, here's the military options: declare war to humiliate, war to vassalize, we could conspire or demand support. So those features haven't been implemented, and war is disabled, which maybe indicates that war has been worked on, but isn't actually just in the game yet. Here's our intrigue options. Look at this. Recruit a spy. Send a delegation to recruit a spy loyal to you who will operate in the other fiefdom, and that'll increase the intrigue level. Incite unhappiness, halt production, slow production, arson a building. Attack trade routes. I was wondering if this would be an option. A spy using bandits can rob a trade route. This will not just grant you some resources, but it will impact the relations of the trading partners and the landowner where the attack took place. Attack a fealty payment route. Assassinate a person, intimidate a person, and destroy population growth. So these are some very interesting options, and I think intrigue, we've seen none of it so far in this game. In any of the two demos that have been put out, I think intrigue is going to be a massive part of this game. And what other options do we have? We could trade, which we will do now in a few minutes. Diplomacy is what we are doing, and we are going to make an official visit. So we can pull in various different people. We have a minus 85 to relations with the Overseer of Buildings, who also seems to be the head of the family. Is there anyone that we're on better relations with? Minus 60, minus 100. I was going to say we probably can't draw this person in because they're too young. No, they're... So you can have children in this game who can be sent as squires, and then once they reach adulthood, they can serve in some of the functions that we are doing at the moment. So Tommaso's attitude towards Barsum is fairly low because of all those things. We'll try and bring this person back in, the head of the family, and we'll see if we have... That's even worse. That's even worse. That's even worse. Oh no. So you can see that there's kind of conflicting traits. Genius to idiot, minus 15. Vengeful to wrathful, plus 5. Carefree to wrathful, minus 10. So this person, Kara, or Chara, is carefree, and we are wrathful. It's not great, but I think we'll just send the head of our household to meet the head of their household. So that's one thing we do. And let's see if we can get some trade going. So we have our trade resources down here. We don't have a lot to trade at the moment. So we can see we've lots of people who are positive on crops. Lots of people like us who are negative on grapes in this region. That's going to be the problem. Is a lot of people are going to be similar to us. We have some materials. Nobody is producing hides at the moment. That's the worst thing. We're probably going to have to trade materials to try and get some of the early stuff going to keep us going. Plus 72. We might let it play out for a couple of minutes. We'll let it play out for a couple of minutes and we will see where it goes. Do I have any... So here we have a 10-year-old, our nephew, and I'm going to send them... I don't think I actually can. Diplomacy, court member. So it won't take them. These guys. The duchy. So diplomacy. Squire. So here is our nephew. And they are going to learn military traits. I think is the way it kind of works. So here's a better military person to send them to. They have a minus 5 with them though. Suggest that your youth would become a squire for a night in the other family in order to get military training. This will lead to an improvement in relations. Seems though they're on good enough terms. We'll send the two of them. And we'll start it up. We can also see these have been added since the last demo. Indicating some of the resources and some of the bonuses that we're getting in the region. So we can see that only one convoy is heading out, and then it's going to split off. And we should get a pop-up. So here is our official visit. So the head of the family is leading a delegation visiting Tommaso's. Your favorites, or your families I should say, have some tension between them, and he tries to brighten the sky over the two houses. For breaking the ice in the first audience with Chara Tommaso, Artiz has prepared a... So at the moment I'm not too sure. It feels a bit random. I'm not too sure what stats actually impact anything. A friendly contest, a cultural event, or a lavish gift. I'm thinking maybe friendly contest if they're into military. Cultural event would be maybe diplomacy, or some of the traits. Or a lavish gift. I have tried this in the past and it hasn't succeeded, and I'm not too sure what was the actual failings. I'm going to go to... let's try a friendly contest. So Artiz Barsum proposes an archery contest between him and the host. Chara Tommaso takes the challenge without second guessing. The enthusiasm of sport makes them forget their differences for the rest of the visit, so that might very well be it. We're low on military. I was thinking that it might make them look good, but there has been a 25 increase, so they don't hate us as much anymore, which is fantastic. And here's then the request for squireship. Namaz has arrived at Aurores to become a squire, and he is introduced in the stables. Next day, a horse he tended falls ill, and Namaz is immediately suspected. How could he be defended against accusations? It must have been an accident. Highlight Namaz's love for horses. Oh my. Or beg for forgiveness. So he's fortuned, profligate, and gentle. Sure, if he's gentle, then surely he has a love for horses. So it clears the case as a mere misfortune and refuses to take it any further. Namaz remains as a squire, so family relations towards Lobos increase by 10. And here then we have a random event, and a lot of random events, a lot of new random events have been added for this demo. I think in the last demo it was pretty much just Overseer, 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 Overseer. This is one that I haven't seen before. Walking on a hallway, Namaz comes across an old manual which lays on the windowsill. He takes a look at it, becoming inspired by the text to try some of its examples. What should he pursue? So this is really interesting. That we actually kind of get to send out possibly the next generation of the family, because again this is meant to be a multi-generational type thing, so this could be the next head of the family. And what are they going to focus on? Practice polearm skills, write an inspirational speech, calculate some taxes, or practice writing in code. So his two strongest are martial and not economy, diplomacy. So we'll have him write an inspirational speech. He takes a parchment, favored quill, and quality ink. After a good opening, he writes down good points, supported with facts and examples. For finishing the speech, he hooks the listener with an exciting vision of the future. So he was fortuned. Good luck and prosperity follows you. So some of these actually impact your stats. So like this one. Gains will solve it with money, ability, and social conflicts. They're, I don't know how you describe them, extra slots that appear in the social conflicts. We'll cover that when we get into a social conflict at some stage, but these kind of impact your knowledge of economy and knowledge of diplomacy. And then it looks like there's ones like this, which possibly give you random opportunities to improve in certain stats. And the one that I've seen a lot of recently is missing a finger. Yeah, so diplomacy has gone up by 1, and he loses that trait. Here we are on the trade menu, and I am trying to figure out who will take some crops and give me some grapes, because we're running badly low, and I think we're actually going to get into a position where we're going to run out before this trade is carried out. So I am offering to sell 90 crops to get 50 grapes from House Troncaro. I'll show you those in a second. It gives us a kind of an estimate of the prices and the willingness of the other party to trade. So we have a fairly strong willingness, and that is also impacted by the fact that there is a good relationship between Dahlia and Imelda, who will be representing Troncaro. Let's see if we drop somebody else in. There's a good relationship there as well. So here's a relationship that isn't as good, and as you can see, the willingness has actually dropped. So your trade deals are not alone going to depend on what you're offering, but also on who is offering it and to who, or to whom. So they're a fickle, sociable idiot. If we actually check here, idiot to idiot, funk to funky is +5, and fickle to idiot is +10. So basically, the two of them are too stupid to hate each other. That's basically that's basically what's going on here. The only issue that's quite strange is that here I have it set to 1 trip. If I set it to 2 trips, the willingness falls, and if I set it to 3 trips, the willingness goes back up. And if I set it to like 10, it goes way, way up there. So it's going to be a total of 90 across 1 trip. That's what I'm offering. And they're going to be giving us a total of 50 across 1 trip. So we're going to visit their court to arrange the trade. We will return, if it's successful, to our court to pick up our goods, bring them back down to their court and drop them off, and then bring back the grapes. That's going to take a while. Yep, that's the wrong button. We could try doing this and fighting them, but this person isn't the best. I really want this deal to succeed. I need it to succeed. So here is where we are leaving. Here is the head of our delegation, and they are heading all the ways down to here. So that's going to take a while. We're definitely going to run out of grapes by then. We have no alternative. There's nothing that we can do at the moment. So, yeah, we're just going to have to suffer that deficit, which is going to impact both our gold production and happiness. So that's a bit of a nuisance. There we can see -1 now, so growth is dropping heavily because the burghers are unhappy. Our family member is just about to reach Troncaro. So I've seen this option before. Dahlia negotiates a trade deal with Imelda, but something seems off. Imelda is rushing the negotiation and is even offering more wares than negotiated, if the deal is sealed immediately. I don't think we're intelligent enough to challenge this. I'm going to take the offer, no questions. Dahlia got more goods than negotiated and finds nothing suspicious about it. I did take the inspect the goods closer option once before, and what it was the other person wanted to rush to another trade agreement. So they wanted to get this one over and done with as quickly as possible, and they were unhappy. They missed the trade agreement, and so relations between the two families were affected. But here we have indeed gotten an extra 6. Is it 6? Yeah, I think we got an extra 6 grapes. So that actually balanced out the cost between us a fair bit. It's a pity they're not bringing the grapes back with them, but they now basically have to return all the ways back to Mangunda, pick up the grain, and then bring it back in this... Oh, there's a shorter route. Which I really like. It's not like Stellaris where the stuff is traded instantaneously, and you can also hit the trade routes. So these trade routes can be attacked. I wonder then if you can reroute through longer trade routes if a certain area has fallen into anarchy. But there's lots and lots and lots of different options. A member of our household is suffering a bit of an existential crisis. Zenon is gazing over the fiefdom and gets an empty feeling. What is the purpose of us cultivating and fighting over this paradise? He can't even concentrate on daily matters and is desperate to ease his mind. Who should Zenon reach for help? So again, I'm not too sure what would indicate whether they should go to the priestess or the philosopher. insight. The words and chants paint a beautiful picture, but Zenon has difficulties to see himself in it. It is still good to get this anxiety off one's chest, though. So, I think that's really the only thing. Maybe CK3 gives you too much information. It literally tells you the outcome of your choices. And I think that suits CK3 with the stress factor that's in place. Maybe here it doesn't work as well. I don't know, is it total guesswork, or is there a kind of a method to the madness of trying to figure out what benefits, what options should be taken to get the best outcomes. We're seeing somebody heading for our capital. We're seeing a diplomatic delegation on the right, and we're seeing a trade delegation just about to arrive in our city. So they want us to sell them 679 crops over 219 days. And they are willing to sell us 139 grapes, which is fantastic, 215 hammers. That is going to absolutely power the development of buildings. That would be absolutely fantastic. We could, however, start a diplomatic... I think we're going to accept it. I think we're going to accept this offer, because I like this one. We could do a social conflict to try and get more, but we're going to accept this. So that's going to increase relations by 10 with each of the families. So it's the Villardo. We're going to finish that up. Now, I tend to spend a lot of time here on the trade map. So that's where we are at the moment. Here's the war. So war scores are not implemented. Then we have the feudalism. We have resources, which is the kind of the one for trade. So we're seeing here the places that are weak on certain items, and then for grain or for grapes. And then we're seeing the places that are strong. We're going to have to watch that now, because we're going to have a deficit for a while of our trade. So I think there's still 679 to be traded. 3.1 per day is being removed from us in trade deals. Kind of on average between in the journey that it takes people to travel out, pick the stuff up, and bring it back. We're getting the Overseer event. Frido, Overseer of Builders, is worried about the well-being of his workers. Some of them won't respond when addressed politely or at all, and he feels responsible for the situation. Discontent between workers could mean many kinds of trouble in the future, so Frido decides to ease up on punishments, pay for a holiday, work alongside them. So he's fortuned, so that could mean that whatever option we pick will go well. Sometimes if you work alongside them, they kind of begin to resent you. If we ease up on punishments, we might be letting them off too easy. They might be getting ideas. We'll try and ease up on punishments, because we're not making a lot of money at the moment. The change cannot be overlooked. It turns out that most of the workers are much more motivated to do their best for the labour itself. Some of the less motivated individuals take this as an opportunity to do less, but the overall change is for the better. So austerity has changed by -5. I'm not too sure what that is, or where we can actually see that. The main skill that influences, I actually do know where we can see that. And then production speed has gone down by -5, so it's not the worst. It's not the worst. And if we do want to see that... here we go. So, for our builders, there is Frido. And here is production speed, yield, spy detection, and austerity. And they actually have all these kind of categories. So there is the production speed dropped. And austerity, I think, dropped a tiny bit as well. I'm not too sure when it drops. Does that mean it goes up or it goes down? So 17 would be superb austerity. We haven't really seen anything about these figures just yet. We haven't been told about what these figures do and don't mean. Overseer might manage to decrease the payments of workers. Okay, interesting. So I think that has actually dropped from 1.4 to 1.3, if I'm correct. Interesting. Again, the depth And potential complexity here is something staggering. We have a diplomatic visit. It's an official visit from Hiram Fiorino. He talks enthusiastically about increasing cooperation between the families of Fiorino and Barsum. Barsum Maniacal, I think is what we'll call them. And how that would benefit both of them. And how would Nomi respond, discuss ways to improve the relationship, invite him on a hunting trip, remain cautious. So he seems to be high diplomatic. I think that's what he would want to talk about. We'll believe him. We'll take him at face value. We will discuss ways to improve the relationship. And that has given a +10 for family relations in both directions. So family relations for 48 days are +10. And that then impacts our transactions with members of those families. The Borg are still unhappy. We are seeing positive grape numbers, but I think we're actually waiting on a trade supply to arrive. And the other thing that I'm going to do very quickly is we have a couple of people who are doing Nyaten. So we have Nomi, and we can see that we're beginning to see the beginnings of a family tree kicking in. So here is the head of the family, and there's their brother, sister, wife, and sister. So maybe the UI here needs a bit of, I won't say a bit of work, but as time goes on and as this window becomes more populated and as more people use it, there's going to be ideas, I think, on how the information here can be presented a bit better. I really don't want to keep going back and saying, in CK3, but in fairness, CK3 does do a fairly good job of kind of explaining the layouts of the families at a quick glance, and that's kind of what you want. But who do we have? We have Zinan, our brother Zinan, and is it our sister? Nomi? Yeah. So the two of these are doing nothing at the moment. They are unmarried. So that would be to send a... We'll see if we can do another official visit, actually. Keep those guys happy. But what I want to do is... These guys aren't too far away. So diplomacy. We could either send a member of the court to be based there permanently, which would increase relations, or we could do a courtship. Now, I haven't actually done this, but this would be an attempt to have two people marry. If this marriage goes ahead, we will, from what I understand, lose her. She will become part of this court. However, if she is still loyal to our family, it will increase our intrigue level in that court. So we're establishing alliances, we're establishing a number of different things. I'm going to send that, because it's something that I haven't actually checked out as yet. So Zinan was complaining about cultivating paradise. And Paula, well, she's gotten bored in paradise. Our wife, she's gone away off. She's on the road and she's off gallivanting. I have grown bored of the mundane life in Mangunda, and therefore decided to leave for the time being. Do not worry about me. She has already taken to the road, roaming free of family ties, to find something to satisfy this need inside. She's ambitious, fortuned, and she's a genius. I think she's going to explore the frontiers of Calderia. She wants to harden herself against the forces of nature and heads towards deep forests and roadless mountain passages. Well, good luck now. And does that mean she was working something? Oh no, she's just up and left her job. She has up and left her job as a farmer, I believe. We're missing a ton of people. Oh, they're all on trade duty. Oh lord, so we're making a bit of a deficit in terms of gold at the moment because nobody is working the Borg. So we have the courtship event. I presume that Nomi has arrived. She's arrived at Galdus to court Mako Noveo. So far, Mako hasn't shown any interest, and there are concerns within the delegation that chances of marriage are dim. What should Nomi do? Again, if we go and if we look at CK3, bring up the menu, filter for the type of lady you're looking for, send a letter, wait for her father to say yes or no, and it's done in a week or two. Here we have a much more elaborate and involved courtship process. I wouldn't be amazed if social conflicts get thrown in here at some stage. Find out about Mako's interests, charm him. Nothing. They don't have to like each other, they just have to marry. So we have a humble, vengeful idiot and a cautious, vengeful, misfortuned individual. Use your idiotic charms on him. So Nomi's chaperone reported that she and Mako are now talking intensively, and Mako has been smiling and laughing. Negotiations for marriage continue as planned. This is the official visit. So you can see now, as the family grows and as we start trying to do more and more stuff, events are coming in hot and fast. Artiz is leading a delegation visiting our overlords. We could just try the friendly contest again. It's pretty much the same option we got the last time. And it has indeed, it's the exact same outcome. I imagine it might have something to do with the military traits. So that has shoved us up. The head of their family. Is this the head of the family? Might have to check that out. I'm hoping it is, because we've gotten relations to a fairly good position with them. It looks like it. It is not. We're still getting relations to a fairly good standing. What am I looking for? I think the default. So our attitude to them is minus 55, and their attitude to us, I believe, is a positive 1. So we're seeing some goods hitting the our capital finally, or our main city. A delegation has arrived at Mangunda, led by Mako. He has come to ask for Nomi Barsum's hand. We will accept. The marriage has been accepted. We are happy to see Mako and Nomi unite the great families of Novio and Barsum Maniacal, says Artiz. May your marriage be long and prosperous. And he just vanishes off into the mountains. Fair play to him. He's just gone. He's way off. So we now have a wedding. Placeholder. Artiz is organizing a wedding between Nomi Barsum and Mako Noveo in Rhodes. You may attend if you will. This is a placeholder event by programmer. So again, there's a lot of stuff that's going to be expanded upon. Now we're getting into an actual marriage ceremony. Again, Crusader Kings 3, you send out your letter, the marriage is accepted. You might get a pop-up saying, do you want to get some extra money from the people or not? And here we have this much more elaborate process, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how that is all going to pan out. We have an option to build some bonds between House Barsum and House Vela. Paolo, wherever the hell she's gone to, the wife, she's off gallivanting, like I said. She gets a letter from Spiro Vela that he would like to come for a visit at Marinko. So that's where she is at the moment. Paolo thinks that this would be the perfect opportunity to build bonds. How would she proceed? Should she lavish Spiro with gifts, challenge him all to all-night partying, or just spend some quality time together? Wealth is meant to be spent. Buy the best pet you can afford, take him to a tavern. So Spiro enjoys the dance and festivities and raises Paola's enjoyment of people. And this raises Paola's enjoyment, so even though she's gone off gallivanting in the world, she's actually improving her stats. So again, you don't play as you would in CK3 as a single individual leading the dynasty. You play as the entirety of the dynasty. Like, Paula has disappeared off the face of the map, yet we're still getting options for her. Because we're controlling the dynasty as a whole, and I really like that idea. In CK3, it can be devastating if you have somebody who's lazy and useless. Whereas here, I think you can actually have a bit more fun with it. We've actually just seen, not for want of trying, that our population has risen to 7. Our population has risen to 7. We actually have a couple of things. I've been distracted. We'll put you in charge of... Do you know what? We're making so much... Or we have so much money in reserve that I think we can just continue losing it. At the moment. Our speciality is mining. But we really are in a position where we need to get a vineyard up and running. We're actually short the 20 grapes to get... That does make sense. That does make sense that we would be short the 20 grapes to get a vineyard up and running. If I switch you to this, can we get the grapes needed before we run out of wine? We're not going to be trading the wine. So I'm going to see if we can do that. Paula has travelled weeks in the wild, living off the land, its dwellers, and streams of fresh water. From goat herds of mountains, she has heard about a great beast roaming the area. The idea of finding and confronting it has occupied her mind. Walking a hunting trail, nightfall, drawing near. Leaves rustling in the wind are accompanied by strange, alluring music, accompanied by faint, joyous noise of festivities. What by the sky and earth and all between could be going on here? Try finding the source. Intrigue is quite good. I imagine that's what it's going to be. She can't resist stepping deeper into the woods in order to find out what is causing this eerie phenomena. When sneaking closer, she finds the source of the unnatural spectacle. The sounds begin to resemble instruments, and between bushes and branches, colourful lights are flickering dimly. She stays behind the foliage, trying to figure out what's happening. The other thing that I kind of like about that is that there was no... I'm going to have to change this very quickly. There was no kind of option, send Paula on a quest, send Paula on a pilgrimage. It's something that she decided to do of her own volition. Something in the code, in the background, set her off to go off in that direction. We're locked out of here for a second. Calls of excitement, so we're continuing with this mission. But again, this isn't something that I chose for her. This is something that she randomly did of her own accord. And I kind of like that, whereas in CK3 you would have decisions to actually do things like this. Paula draws nearer what appears to be a bacchanal in a glade of some kind. She sees moving figures, disfigured by a bonfire with colourful lights glowing in the fire. Musicians with crude instruments accompanied the dance, and everyone has strange masks made of wood and bones, clothes of leather or rough fabrics around them. Paula walks in the light and is welcomed by one of them, while other masked and painted, unattending figures swing between and by you two. Will you join the celebration of our deity? They continue, offering a wooden goblet full of dark liquid. Absolutely! Take it without hesitation. She grabs the vessel and pours the contents in her mouth. It tastes like wine, but is thick and murky as blood. The taste numbs the tongue and thoughts. Everything starts blurring together. The power may be too much for you to handle, she recognizes a voice saying before feeling warm caresses of darkness surrounding her. There you go. Boys, oh boys. We can get in here. Now, what was I going to do? That's the worst thing. I'm waiting for some grape supplies. I was expecting we'd have... There we go. Now, the problem is... Here we go. Our vineyard. Table grapes. So we have all the resources that we need. Our table grapevines. Work time, 1. So that's how many days it takes to build. Here, work time is 10,000. If we have 2 workers, it's going to bring it down to 5,000. Well, It's possible that it's 10,000 because we have no workers. We'll see about that now in a couple of seconds. So I'm going to build that. We have... Do I need to actually put somebody there? Do we need to have... It looks like we do. It looks like we do. So if I put you there... There we go. It's taken a lot longer than expected, though. Paula comes to her senses slowly, feeling something heavy on her. She opens her eyes. The weight is a dead body of the beast collapsed over her. What day is it? The weight is a rotten carcass of a boar, which has been modelled as some kind of cloak. Paula has no idea what happened and how long she has been out. What was the great power that overtook her? Paula is so confused and frightened by the situation that she feels a strong urge to head back home. Paula, come home to us. Come home to us, woman. You've been out gallivanting and causing trouble. So it's definitely not just taking one day to do. Overlord is ready to humiliate you. The High Overlord. So they've sent Yago. They've sent an 18-year-old to humiliate us. Oh no. Oh, he's just going to be sitting there on his phone. He's not even going to be talking to us. Now that the time of reconciliation, ordained by the Viceroy himself, is over, the delegation from Tommaso has arrived. The very first moment reveals that he intends to get you to pay a heavy price for the war that ended. He intends to increase the tax straight to heavy level, and you need to do your best to argue why that shouldn't be the case. We will start a social conflict. So here are our base 4 companions that we get from having various buildings. The Comitatus I know that we have for some military building that we have, and as you build buildings you can get more and more of these companions to help you in social conflicts. I played a game previously where I used the artisan start, which meant that from the start I had some of the vineyard specialists, including, if I am pronouncing it correctly, the sommelier, the guy who serves wine, and I brought him along with me to a social conflict, and he kicked the living crap out of the master builder of my opponents. So what I like to imagine there is basically he was just getting people drunk, and that's how he was doing in the social conflict. So we just have our base people. Oh, look at how many they have. They have more people than us. We're in a bit of trouble. So we have the targets that we're aiming for. We have the areas where we can deploy, where the enemy can deploy, and we have 3 levels that we're trying to get through. I'd say we're going to have to dedicate our resources to 1 or 2 of them at most. So they line out first of all. I have to kind of decide which ones I really want to go for now. So give crops 2,000, give golds 2,000, give grapes 2,000. Not a hope in hell. Go way out of that, you. So they have a comitatus who is strong against economy. So let me see, where's my economists? Here's an accountant, and if I place them there, you can see that there is a negative downward pointing arrow telling us that we will do poorly against the comitatus. It allows you to rotate these, and I don't think it should because it actually takes up time and it can be easy to kind of misclick. Here is our comitatus who is good against economy. Here is our confidant who is good against military. So I'm going to place them there. And then we have, I would say we're going to have to place this guy here. Now because I put him on the table. So let's see if we can see his stats. We can't. So he has his 3 traits. And those 3 traits open up an extra ability. I don't know what it is or what it does. There we go. No, it hasn't come on to because it's a bit off. It's a bit off in the corner, and I don't exactly know what it does. Not too sure how to pull it. So when activated, and it should go into one of those slots, and it should do something, and it's because of one of his traits. So it opens up. Do you remember when I was saying earlier on that there are these extra slots? That's what that's doing, but I'm not too sure how to actually get it to work. So we're going to concentrate heavily here at the moment. That is an economist. That is a diplomat. So I'm going to put them there. Okay. They're good against an economist. They're good against a diplomat. Okay. So what's going to happen is that they will attack along these lines, first of all. So this guy is going to attack the Master Builder, and the Master Builder is going to attack the Comitatus. And then, once one of them is removed, so they will always attack an enemy first of all, and once one of those is removed, they will attack the objective to try and achieve the objective. When a unit is defeated, in air quotes, they are returned to their reserve, and they can be redeployed, and they heal here as well. It's fascinatingly elaborate. And what we're doing here is we are representing a debate over tax level increases and war reparations. The same process is going to be handled for war. So I say that they attack along these lines, but what you can imagine here in a social conflict is that they are arguing. So our two leaders are going to argue with each other. Our confidant is going to counter their comitatus, but is also going to assist us in attacking their leader, and then our counselor is left in a position where he's also going to focus with the confidant in attacking the comitatus and in sneaking in and trying to hit a secondary objective. We're pretty much leaving the field undefended for this tax level increase, but hopefully we can block this one. So let's see if we are in any way successful. You can see the lines are spreading out. They're easily winning this one over here. They have already had their counselor driven off the field, so he has been countered, and now our accountant is hitting the actual target itself. We've succeeded in driving another of their characters off the board. They're going to take this easily, and then they're going to be able to move those figures. And we can see that their counselor is repairing ever so slightly. We're definitely going to miss that second increase. Can I like hit one of these guys? Is this what I do? No. Not too sure what it does. So they're bringing in their Master Builder, probably to try and counter our Counselor. But I'd be hoping that we'll actually be able to... So we've won one over here. We've won one over here. Where can I send you to? I can't actually send you anywhere at the moment.
Victory is ours!
So we've lost this one, we've won this one. And I would be confident that we'll be able to take over here now in a second. Bide your time. When activated, unit doesn't attack for 5 seconds. Okay. So can I... No. Who do we want to get in here? They are bringing down... I don't know who the hell they're bringing down. Oh, they're not bringing down anyone at the moment. So at this stage, we can just pretty much start throwing people into the conflict. They actually have some people who are fully healed and recovered. They're getting a bit of an advantage on us now. I don't think we're going to be able to take this. Nope, doesn't look like it. We're going to be paying a hefty tribute. It was looking well there for a while. It was looking well there for a while, and yeah, they just overwhelmed us with numbers in the end. It was close, it was close. No, we're not going to be able to take that. Oh. So we managed to block one of the tax level increases, And now there are hefty penalties going to be placed on us. We have to pay 2,000 to them. We have to pay 2,000, and we have to do a variety of... I think that's it, 2,000 crops, 2,000 something else, 2,000 something else, and a tax increase. So pretty hefty. So you really do want to try and win that. We could have won that if we had maybe a bigger starting city. If we'd gone with the artisans at the start, I think we could have possibly won that. We would have had more people. I'm not too sure why we had... Maybe we only had 4 because that's all we had access to. Not too sure. The Devils. And we got relations up with them. So now, this is what breeds resentment and bitterness. This is what starts to breed resentment and bitterness. And now we have all these options. We have seen how effective our policy of diplomacy with our overlords has been. And if these were implemented, then it would be fair to say that the time for diplomacy is over. The wedding organised by Artis between Nomi and Mako is starting. Hela, Murcha, and Aizan Preveti are also there. So actual other members of the region. There is indeed a social conflict for the wedding, to actually try and make sure that the wedding goes true. So again, like I was saying, I didn't actually expect this, that there would be... So what is going on here? Is this a 3-way scenario? There is a pleasurance gardener. There is Nomi, so this is the target. I'm not too sure, are people trying to block the wedding? But this is interesting. I'm not actually too sure what we're fighting for here. We're going to put... We'll put them up there, we'll say. So these two are going to attack each other. I'm not too sure who he's going to attack. And we have this person in reserve then, because we can't really actually put them anywhere. And he's moving people in to help. He's getting a bad old battering, because he is indeed being attacked by that pleasurance gardener. They got... I'm not too sure how they're attacking across this line as well. And I do like that there's a delay of getting the next person into position. So we have driven out a few people. We're attacking the center, but they now have the next person to send in. Right, this is a weird one. So all 4 of the houses are actually represented in various different ways. I'm going to let them fight for a few minutes, but here this person is being left alone to hit the... I'm not entirely too sure what's just happened, but we didn't win. Oh, he's after coming out of the tent. He's formed a diplomatic negotiation. They've gotten married, I think. She has 2 lovers who are the same person. I think they're married. Yes. Well, there you go. And she's still in our court, which is kind of interesting. Here in our production menu, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of our farmers and I'm going to move him down. You can see that the vineyard is going to be completed in 35 days. I placed them there and it has gone down to 17. We are now making a deficit in terms of crops, but we'll get over that. We'll survive. We've a mediator between Dahlia and Paula. They're not the best of friends, and now they are quarreling again. Both complain about each other. To Nomi Barsum. How should Nomi... Nomi's just after getting married. Lads, leave her alone. She's going on the honeymoon. Act as a mediator. She's humble, vengeful, and she's an idiot. She could sow more discord, or she could try and win the trust of one of them. We'll have her as a mediator. And respect towards Paula. has gone up, and Paula's respect to Dahlia has gone up by 10. So you can actually have your own family fanatically loyal to the family name. You can have them hate each other and fight amongst each other. Again, I'm really excited to see where this is going to go. We're going to get a building built. We're going to get a building built, and we might see what we can do from there. I think we have a building built. So we now have our vineyard. And we can place somebody random. We'll remove you back to crops, because we are in a bit of a deficit for crops. And we're now in a surplus of grapes. We do have some trade coming in of 0.3 per day, but we're producing 0.1. So we are now we're out of a deficit for grapes, at the very least. We do have enough, if I am correct, but we don't really have the population to build a drift mine. We'd need to move a member of the population down there. We're getting 8 per day. And if we go to our builders, we could actually reduce them to normal to increase that pop growth. That looks like a good option at the moment. We're not in a position to increase our production here. I will just very quickly show something at the moment. To build a vintage and to get that Pleasurance Gardener that we saw causing some trouble there in the last social conflict, we would need a fortress. And to build a fortress, so this is for our vineyard. So to build a vintage for the vineyard, we need to have a fortress in the Borg. And that fortress is going to cost 2,000 materials. 200 grapes, 100 meat and hide, 1,000 gold, 10 horses, 50 steel, and 200 bottles of wine. And it also needs to have a keep, which is the next building that we could get made, and it unlocks crafters and scholars. All the madness, all the anarchy, all the different things that can be done. Lots and lots of different options, and what's most exciting, I think, is the modularity. The modularity of the wedding conflict that we just saw, the modularity of the social conflicts, the modularity of the way things are laid out here. You can just make this a bit wider, put in more buildings. Here we have the City Watch, which has a unit that we could use in conflicts associated with it, or in social conflicts or military conflicts. There's a Castellan, if we were to build a dungeon. I'm trying to see where. There's stone walls, there's the Borg, and this gets our basic units. So the Counselor, the Accountant, the Confidant, and the Comitatus, we had those for our last social conflict. If we go to the Vineyard, I think, is it Wine Grapes, or the Viticulturalist? Viticulturalist gives us a Viticulturalist. There's our Vineyard. But winemakers is actually different. So they grow the grapes, but then the people who actually make the wine, they are different, and I'm not too sure how we would actually get those at the moment, but there we go. If we make wine grapes, that will give us access to winemakers, so what we will see is another level will appear down here that will say, it'll be another one just like these, it'll say winemakers, and we can put population in there, we can put somebody in charge, we can try and balance their happiness and their production, and then that's how we get that sommelier that we can use in social conflicts. That modularity. I don't know if they're going to allow modding, but if modding is allowed, that's going to be incredible, because what people can do, what kind of buildings, what kind of structures they can add like this, the abstraction, the way that the social conflicts, and indeed the way that city building is abstracted out, is very exciting. I think there is tremendous potential in this. A link to the demo, it's on Steam at the moment, is below in the description. Do go and check it out. If you haven't done so already. I'm going to be playing this when it comes out. And if nothing else, Even if the demo crashes on you, you'll get an understanding of the trade, you'll get an understanding of going down through worker management and the family management aspects. A lot of the events that we saw today are brand new. I had never seen a marriage event before. I had never seen the one where Paula just decided to go off gallivanting. I had absolutely no idea that there was even stuff in that where she could stumble upon a random party in the forest. I am really looking forward to seeing the modularity of this. Do check out the Maniacal Link Twitch as well. I was streaming this on Twitch a couple of days ago. I might stream this again. Might continue on from where we are. And playing a lot of Sea of Thieves at the moment. Offline, so check out the Maniacal Link Discord in case you wish to be a member of either the good ship No Fawkes Gibbon or the good ship Brig Deck Energy. So there are the two ships that myself and Math Plays and Painting Poorly are sailing around in at the moment, and if anybody is on Discord and wants to join in, they are more than welcome. Quite often I will put up messages begging for help when we are being chased by pirates or chased by reapers and they're being mean to us. I'm also going to put up links to the Fire Squid Discord where this game is being discussed and being developed, and the developers are in there looking for feedback. So if you do check out the demo, make sure to go over there and give your input. If you've any issues, if you've any crashes and stuff like that, or if you've any issues with bugs, that's what they really want to hear about at the moment. They're in the bug testing phase, and hopefully we're going to have a great game when this comes out towards the end of the year, so do go and check it out. Thank you all very much for joining me. I hope you found this interesting, and I will see you all again in future in another great house in Calderia.